Interracial marriages in the 19th century were either taboo or simply prohibited by law. But brave couples refused to let prejudice tear them apart. They traveled to different countries just to be able to get married, leaving home and crossing oceans in search of a living. Today we'll explore some of those mixed-race couples of the 1800s and early 1900s. Jack Johnson and his wife, Etta Duryea, January 27, 1910. Jack was a successful heavyweight boxing champion and a performer for theater companies. And Etta Duryea was a refined Brooklyn socialite. They first met in 1909 at the Vanderbilt Cup car race on Long Island, where Etta's grace and intelligence caught the eye of the daring boxer. Their connection was immediate, sparking a romance that captivated the public despite the deep-seated racial prejudices of the early 20th century. In January 1911, they get married quietly in Pittsburgh. However, the pressures of fame and the stigma surrounding their interracial union cast a long shadow over their relationship. Jack's turbulent lifestyle and his mounting suspicions led to moments of physical violence, and Etta, already fragile from the isolation of her former high society life, struggled under the strain. In January 1912, Etta's father died, and shortly afterwards, news of her marriage to Jack made it back to Brooklyn. Her isolation and depression deepened even further over the following months, and she attempted suicide twice. On September 11, 1912, Etta tragically ended her own life. Joseph Laroche, a Haitian engineer, and Juliette Lafargue, a French woman, shared a love that defied racial and societal barriers in early 20th century France. Born into a wealthy Haitian family, Joseph moved to France for education, where he met Juliette. Their love blossomed despite societal prejudices, and they married, starting a family. Facing job discrimination in France due to his race, Joseph decided to return to Haiti for better opportunities. In 1912, the couple, along with their 2 daughters, boarded the Titanic. As the ship sank, Joseph and his wife carried their sleeping daughters to the top deck so the 3 of them could board a lifeboat. Joseph died in the sinking of the Titanic, and his body never recovered. Juliette and her daughters survived, later returning to France. Their story, long overshadowed, is a testament to love, sacrifice, and resilience in the face of adversity. A portrait of Louis G. Gregory and his wife Louisa Matthew Gregory, the first interracial marriage in the Baha'i community in the United States. American man Louis Gregory and British woman Louisa Matthews met while on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land of Egypt back in 1911. Louis was a passionate advocate for racial harmony, found in Louisa a kindred spirit, one who believed in a world free from prejudice and division. And Louisa Matthews accepted the faith in Paris. She traveled with Abdul Baha on to the U.S. Both devoted members of the Baha'i faith. There shared a love that transcended the rigid racial and social barriers of early 20th century America. Gregory traveled extensively to teach the faith and worked on issues of race unity around the country, particularly in the South. While Louisa spent most of the year teaching the faith in Eastern Europe, returning to the U.S. in the summers to be with her husband. Their interracial marriage survived the many obstacles of the time and thrived for nearly 40 years until Louis Gregory's passing on July 30th, 1951. Louisa passed away in 1956 and is buried next to her beloved husband in Elliott. Helen Gladys Emory and Gunjira Aoki, March 1909. Aoki was a Japanese-American while Gladys was Caucasian, daughter of the Archdeacon of Grace Cathedral. Aoki was a servant in the Emory home in Corte Madera, California. When Gladys Emory announced her love for Aoki, her parents opposed the marriage. The couple was refused a marriage license in California because state law prohibited marriage between Japanese and Caucasian. They took a train to Portland, Oregon, where authorities refused to issue them a license for the same reason. By this time, Gladys's parents had accepted her decision. They all planned to travel through Seattle to Victoria, British Columbia, where they could have the wedding. The group arrived in Seattle on March 26th, but quickly changed their plans. The groom and the bride's father obtained a license at the King County Courthouse. The ceremony was performed by the Reverend Herbert Henry Gowan of the Trinity Parish Church in Seattle. Their story was written by their grandniece, Brenda Wong Aoki, in Uncle Gunjiro's Girlfriend. Charles Mian was a white Irishman, and Hester Mian was born in Canada. They both born in 1856 and first met as children in the Elgin settlement near Buxton, Ontario, a community renowned for its emphasis on education and a safe haven for those escaping oppression. By the age of 8, their friendship blossomed into a deep, lifelong connection. In 1875, they married in Raleigh Township, Ontario. Later, following a racist incident in Chatham, the Mihans joined other Black Canada-Nebraska homesteaders and crossed into Nebraska. In 1907, the family moved to Cherry County to expand their land holdings under the Kincaid Act. When the time came to retire, they planned to move to Illinois. However, Hester died in 1923 in Alliance, Nebraska, and Charles followed in 1935. Both are buried at Alliance Cemetery in Box Butte, Nebraska. Charles and Hester Mihan's love story is a testament to enduring commitment amid challenging times. In 1930, in the Brazilian state of Paraná, Tetsunosuke Yamamoto and Maria de Cruz dos Santos defied societal norms by becoming the first recorded Japanese-African couple in Curitiba. Maria was raised in the Macedo family home, where she worked as a domestic helper. Tetsunosuke, originally from Japan, arrived in Curitiba in 1927 and also worked for the Macedo family. Among the Japanese men employed in the household, Tetsunosuke stood out for his resourcefulness and kindness. He often hitched a horse for Maria so she could ride home from school. His skills and dedication made him a valued worker, and over time, love blossomed between him and Maria. Their marriage on November 29, 1930, was a significant event, as it was the first interracial union of its kind in Curitiba's Japanese community. To wed in a church, Tetsunosuke converted to Christianity and adopted the name Milton. The couple continued to live and work on the Macedo farm after their wedding. Samuel Coleridge Taylor, a talented mixed-race composer, fell in love with Jessie Sarah Fleetwood Wall-Misley, a singer from a respected English family. They met at the Royal College of Music and bonded over their shared passion for music. However, their love faced fierce opposition from Jessie's family, who disapproved of Samuel's African heritage. Despite these challenges, the couple remained committed. A clergyman encouraged them to marry, and in 1899, they wed in Selhurst, England. After marriage, Jessie continued to support Samuel's musical career, and they had children together. Samuel had a successful career touring America 3 times, and his daughter Avril Coleridge Taylor became a conductor-composer in her own right. Samuel died young at 37, but Jessie dedicated her life to preserving his legacy. George Schuyler was a well-known left-wing journalist in the 1920s, and Josephine Cogdell was born into a rich former slave-owning family in Granbury, Texas. Interested in left-wing ideas, Cogdell began writing back and forth with Schuyler, whom she eventually moved to New York and meet Schuyler. Their shared intellectual interests and mutual respect led to their marriage in 1928. Their unconventional union challenged the racial prejudices of their time, but they believed that interracial marriage could help bridge racial divides and produce exceptional offspring. This belief was reflected in their daughter, Philippa Duke Schuyler, born in 1931, who became a renowned child prodigy in music. Despite societal challenges, their marriage endured, symbolizing a profound partnership that transcended the racial boundaries of their era.